First, I got to go to the barn and feed the women.
That's right. That's right.
Welcome to SinCast, presented by Cinemasins.
All right, everybody, welcome to the SinCast. This is Chris Atkinson from Cinemasins, joined as always by the voice of Cinemasins, Jeremy Scott.
That's me.
And from Music Video Sins, Barrett Share.
Yeah!
That's him.
That's all the people. Hello, people.
Hello, people.
Well, to our listeners, it's been a week, but to us, it's been 4 days since we last did a recording. Do you guys have a rant?
I do.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
I'm as mad as hell.
You've never seen me very upset.
Thankfully, the universe has decided to curse me in a way that allows me to give you a good, fine rant, fresh off of yesterday. Listen, auto manufacturers. I know
they are.
I know in many cases you are trying to make things as compact as possible. But I would rather have a boat of a car where changing the battery was as simple as unscrewing two things and lifting it out and putting the new one in and screwing the two things. Now, my wife, her car battery died. So we went to a place to buy a new battery, and I tweeted about this. I accidentally bought a $100 extended warranty because I thought he asked if I found everything I was looking for, or if there's anything else he could help me with.
God, that sucks,
we're both wearing masks and I'm deaf, and so instead of $159, I paid $259 for a goddamn battery. But he says, well, is it a 1.4 liter or a 2.4 liter? And I swear to God, I almost said, fuck should I know, dude? And I said, is that important? And he goes, yeah. So I'll let you guys guess if I bought the right one or the wrong one the first time.
Oh, no.
But one trip later, I had the correct battery. I opened the hood of my wife's car. I have changed batteries in cars like 7 or 8 times in my life. It did not used to be complicated, and I think in many cases it's not. This is a little bit of a unique, I don't really want to give too much away, but it's a Jeep. It's one of the Jeep vehicles, and there's a contraption I have to take off the battery first by hand, and then there's a couple of weird screws that you don't expect, and then I basically get all that popped off, and I should be able to pull the battery out, but there's a strap over it holding it in place. I shine a flashlight down in there, and the strap goes down, and it's connected to a piece of metal, and it has one tiny little bolt. It's like maybe 11 inches down, and I can't fit my hand down in there to even try to do it by hand. Now, I will also admit, in the middle of this rant, I'm not ratchet guy. I don't know shit about ratchets.
I've got ratchet guy.
I've got 2 sets of ratchets with all the little endy bendy things, and I know if you flip the dipper the right way, it goes and you can crank a bolt on or off, right? But I don't know how to make of all these ratchet parts something that can reach nearly 11 inches.
The extenders and all that.
Yeah, and I don't have like a long one. I've got
which mechanics do, and that's yeah.
So I take my 2 sets together, and they both have a mini extender. And I basically cobbled together this thing that almost bends. It's so wobbly. It's got 4 or 5 heads on each end. And I put it down there with my hand, and it fits. First of all, God, it took me maybe 45 minutes to find the right fucking size of that bolt because I can't eyeball it because I'm an idiot. Once I finally find the right one, I get it down there, and it's too tight to turn by hand. And I'm like, I'm going to have to ratchet this. But here's the kicker. I get the ratchet in there, set it down. I literally have nowhere to go. I can't turn even 1 degree to ratchet this bolt off. I assume the only way you can do it is with a really long flip-ended ratchet, which I have now bought from Amazon, which will be here fucking tomorrow. But
one use in 10 years.
Before that, I got stubborn. And so right there where I couldn't get my hand in is where I guess it's some kind of polycarbonate plastic engine cover. which said 2.4 liters on the top of, mind you. I should have known. And I wedge my hand under there and start ratcheting. Now, every time I turn the ratchet, first of all, I'm only turning about 5 degrees, so it took about 60 turns. But my hand is scraping the edge of this composite fiber plastic shit. So now my hand in real life is swollen, and I have a bruise. But I got that fucking screw off, mind you. And I pulled the battery out, and I put the other battery in, and I tightened the battery bits, and I have yet to tighten the strap because I'm not doing that to my hand again. I'm waiting for the extra long ratchet. My point is, changing a car battery is something everyone should be able to do at home. Changing your oil is something a lot of people do at home, and it's easy enough to figure out. Like changing my engine, fuck you, I'm going to take it in. Like changing a battery should be easy. I shouldn't have to pay somebody an hourly wage to do that for me. But you decided to build this such a way that I have to have this one specific tool. Maybe everybody has that tool. Maybe you guys are like, oh, what an idiot. He doesn't.
No, nobody has those. These mechanics have like literally like a 3-foot ratchet extender to do exactly that stuff for transmission work and for all that stuff.
Oh,
and nobody's got that except for you. I'm going to borrow it from you the next time.
Well, go. You can borrow it. I have never been so angry because, I mean, again, I have done stupid shit before. Like my dryer didn't work, and I was like, well, I'm just going to take it apart. And I ended up fixing it on a miracle. But I could have broken it forever, and I wouldn't have cared. But here, I didn't think I was getting into a project. I thought I was getting into something very simple, like that would only take 10 minutes at most. And I was in there in the garage for 2.5 hours. It was 90 degrees yesterday.
Oof.
I'll let you know what mood I was in when I was done. So that's my fucking rant. Make the battery easy to get in and take out, God damn it. I don't care if my car doesn't look sporty anymore. I'm never doing that again.
I do believe this is your second car battery related rant within the last 8 months.
What was the other one?
It was yours.
Well, I had to get it jumped off.
Yeah, well, you had to take it to the dealer, and the dealer had to charge you all that stuff.
Yes,
the dealer was the only person that could do it.
Yes, that's a different thing. That's a different thing. Thank God my wife's car wasn't one of those only the dealer can replace your batteries.
But didn't you buy a battery for your car before you had realized that you had to have?
Yes, I did. I don't have a good track record.
Do you think that the reason why it's like that is for some sort of they want you to take it in reason? Because it is weird that it would be so difficult to change it out, that they would make things so hard. Like, that when they tested that car out and everything, they took the battery out and put it back in and all that. And somebody would have said, this battery's kind of hard to put in. Although it could have been the situation where they had the 3-foot extender thing. It's like, well, if everybody has a 3-foot extender, and they should.
I mean, I think with my car, it's 2 years newer, and I think they're doing the Apple thing where they don't want you breaking open your car and fixing it yourself if they can get another $50 out of you to bring it to the dealer. It wasn't even. Now, granted, anyway, no, that was a whole nother rant. But the battery should be simple. I shouldn't have to take it to a dealer. I shouldn't have to break my hand. It shouldn't take me 2.5 hours. Should be pop in, pop out, boom, go. And,
I'm happy that you guys do that stuff on your own. I know that for a fact that I could learn how to do that stuff on my own, but I always take it to a shop and have them do all the shit.
And there's no fault in that.
No, that's why they're there. I've one in my family for 55 years.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, in a pandemic, I just didn't really want the hassle of saying, come tow my car, and then I'll drive behind you and go to this shop where there are a bunch of different people and probably not wearing masks. And I just thought, it's a battery. It's not a transmission. It's not new brakes. It's a battery. How hard could it be? Very fucking hard.
Yeah.
Well, it's so frustrating when you don't have the right tool where you can identify the problem and you're like, or the issue. And you'd be like, I could pop that off in 2 seconds if I only had this particular thing. And you don't have that particular thing.
Yep.
And, like I said, you're going to get that thing. You're going to use it once. And then 10 years later, you'll finally use it again.
Or no, 10 years later, I'll need it again, and I don't want to know where the fuck it is.
Yeah, that's right.
All rusted
It'll be in your golf club bag or something.
Yep, that's it.
That would be fantastic. Hey, I have a much less serious rant, but nevertheless more frustrating.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So a thought occurred to me yesterday. And that thought was, I remember there was a time in the early aughts when a band called Limp Bizkit, they did a cover of a song that was written by The Who called Behind Blue Eyes.
Yeah.
And you've heard this song, right, Jeremy?
No
one knows what it's like
to
be
I have.
a bad man. Okay.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Further, I remembered this song, and I remembered it being shitty. I remembered it being pretty bad because it's Fred Durst singing this dirgy, like stained cover of a classic Who song. Even further, I remembered the video for this starred Halle Berry. Even further, I remember that Fred Durst starred in this video with Halle Berry and that he directed this video and that he made out with Halle Berry in this video. And for whatever reason, I became obsessed with finding this video and seeing this, even though I knew it would make me throw up. Because I did the first time I saw it. So I pull up, I'm like, hey, you know what? That happened. And I confirmed it happened. Click on the official video. And I'm like, all right, here it is. I'm going to strap in, take my pants off, and we're going to see how this plays out.
Yeah, man.
And so I do this, and it's a bunch of old concert footage. It's like an old Poison video where it's like dancing around and like doing and crowd surfing and jumping moshing pits and stuff like that. And I'm like, what? No, this isn't right. And that's all it is. It's just a bunch of slow motion, like fucking did it all for the nookie stuff. And I'm like, no, that's not it. I want to see this gross stuff. And so what it turned out was that so it was bifurcated. There was one version that was on the Limp Bizkit official album called Results May
bifurcation.
Vary. Exactly. Results May Vary came out in 2003. Also coming out in 2003 was a movie called Gothica. Gothica. I don't know why I said it like that. Gothica starred Halle Berry, right?
Yep.
And she was in a psychiatric institution. Did you guys ever see Gothica?
Yeah, it's awful.
It was bad. It was a really bad movie. She was a doctor and a patient. Ooh, spoiler.
That's right.
So at the time, it's not on YouTube, but at the time, because this shit was on TRL and stuff like that, at the time, was the official video was the Gothica video, in which Halle Berry starred and did make out. And so I found a fuzzy version of that, and it still made me sick, even though it was fuzzy. So what happens is Fred Durst is all shirtless in a psychiatric institution with his blonde hair, and he doesn't even have his like backwards Yankees hat or whatever. And I'm giving too much detail. But what happens is she comes in as the doctor. He's the patient. She comes in with her clipboard, and they start not only making out. You have to watch the fuzzy version. He sucks her chin.
Yeah,
and
right.
he's
Fred Durst and Halle Berry?
Fred Durst and Halle Berry. He's sucking her chin and he's biting her lip, and like I think he gets a nose action in there, and like it's just all over her face.
I would love to know what the discussion was before all of this, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know what? Fred Durst came up with all this because he wanted to do that to Halle Berry.
Oh, yeah, you can. Because there's a behind the music video back when MTV used to do that stuff. Behind the video, there's that on YouTube, but there's not the actual video itself. And I'm very annoyed by it. And what's funny in that behind the music video thing, Fred Durst is on there. He's like, you know what? This is back when Fred Durst decided, he's going to be like a serious artist and shit like that. He's like, you know what? I was thinking last night, I went in the next day to the studio and I was like, we should record Behind Blue Eyes by The Who. And he was like, all right. And we went in and we cut it. And I heard it and I was like, yeah, that's my song. That's definitely my song. That's my thing. I'm like, motherfucker, the fucking Who. The Who! The Who wrote this. Pete Townsend and Roger Daltrey wrote this, not Fred Durst and Wes Borland and DJ Screws-a-Lot or whatever his name is.
Next to Carson Daly and Fred Durst. Listen to him argue over
Who was
which
their
did
DJ?
first.
DJ Lethal was their DJ. I'm surprised I know that. Anyway, there's multiple levels to this frustration. First, that it happened. Second, that I couldn't find it to verify that it happened. Third, when I did find it, it was blurry. And so And so it didn't get a satisfactory. It's like when you're about. It's like when you're about to go, but you can't, and so it just stops there.
Okay, so I just
yeah, totally.
I just looked up because I was going to pivot and mention that he is like trying to be a director now because he made that football movie, and then he made that Fanatic movie with, was it Travolta?
Yes,
that was in that. But I more importantly now, I want to point out he directed that video short for Behind Blue Eyes.
yes.
And he also he's credited on IMDb for directing his own sex tape.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
2005, Fred Durst sex tape short. And it says in parentheses, uncredited. Yeah,
uncredited.
But it says uncredited because, they didn't have credits on the sex tape.
Yeah.
But it's a directing credit, and I guarantee you, I'm pretty sure really famous people can control what their IMDb says, right?
Probably.
Hold
you would
on.
think.
Isn't there a pro level where like they write their own bios if they want? And
I think so, yeah. They have their agents or whoever do it, that kind of thing.
So did he put it on there? Because I think he did.
Yeah. It could be very simply he doesn't have anybody mess with that, and some asshole threw that on there, like a Wikipedia entry or something.
Maybe.
I have never seen a sex tape listed on IMDb, but now I'm looking up Kim Kardashian.
Well, I bet Paris Hilton has One Night in Paris listed.
When was the Kim Kardashian one?
Where?
Oh, God, I don't know what year.
Pennsylvania? Oh,
No,
you said when. I thought you said where. How am I supposed to know?
Let's see. Chloe, I'm sorry. Hang on. Let me just see. Do we know what it was called? It was just called the sex tape, right?
No idea what it was called.
Just look her up on IMDb.
I'm looking her up on IMDb.
It'll be like the second credit. If it's there.
No, it's not there. Okay. Oh, archive footage? Ooh. Maybe.
Archive footage.
No, I don't think so. No. Are you looking up One Night in Paris?
Yeah.
No, definitely no. I mean, yes.
I mean, I'm looking to see if it's on the IMDb.
House of Wax, The OC.
Oh, yeah. That it was called House of Wax, not One Night in Paris. Yeah, One Night in Paris.
What?
Is on herself.
Wow.
When she plays herself.
Wow. You think she's proud of that one? Because that's not a good look for
I
her,
mean,
right? It's a good look.
Like all those ones that have some sort of company behind it, they got money for that shit. So, and it boosted their profiles, all of them. Paris Hilton, Kim Kardashian. It is what it is.
When was One Night in Paris?
2004.
Yeah, I don't see it.
It's in herself when she plays
Look
herself.
at that. It's called a video documentary.
Yes.
Wow. Let's click on the actual link, One Night in Paris. Who was her co-star?
Oh, it was what's his
Rick
name?
Solomon.
Rick Solomon, who's a poker
Is he the Girls
player.
Gone Wild guy?
No.
He's a poker player?
Yeah, I've seen him on some pretty big poker shows before. He's not a professional, but he's been in some pretty big tournaments and everything, and he looks weird and all sorts of shit.
You know what's funny? Is that this has a 4.4 rating on IMDb.
It's not very good.
Yeah, it's all night vision. It sucks.
It's got 2,800 ratings.
Yeah, it is funny. It is the phenomenon of people going to the IMDb and like, I've got to rate this shit.
Like it's not even a 0 or like a 5. It's a 4.4, like a very specific rating.
Yeah.
People put a lot of thought into this. Wow, that rant kind of went off the rails.
No, in a good way.
Yeah, it somehow went from Fred Durst and Behind Blue Eyes to fucking One Night in Paris. Well, that's just the weird thing to me is that, how does Fred Durst approach Halle Berry and say, I'm going to do all this stuff to you, and it has nothing to do with my own personal needs or anything like that. It's just, it's art, man. It's what we do in the music video. And she's probably sitting there like I guess she goes, I don't know, as long as you're paying me, I don't care. And I'm like, I don't know. Or maybe she likes Fred Durst. Who knows?
By the
She
way,
said-
to put a bow on this, Kim Kardashian, Superstar, 2007, is on IMDb.
Nice.
Directed by Ray J, uncredited, right?
Mm-hmm.
This has a 5.4.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
But how many ratings? 2,800, more or less.
404.
Yeah, see, there you go. If more people
she
rated
had
it,
like
would come
3
down.
years on this, but like, come on, people, let's get these ratings.
That's right.
Everyone go to... Never mind.
If 50,000 people rate the Kim Kardashian Superstar, I will tweet out this, blah, blah, blah.
Well, I'd gladly tweet blah, blah, blah if they do that.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah. So Halle Berry, Fred Durst. There you go.
Yep. It's like I said, it's been 4 days. I'm sure that there are things that I could rant about, but I have not done anything in the last 4 days that I've been like, or experienced anything in the last 4 days that requires a rant. I could keep doing movie style rants, but we're going to keep Cinemasins as Cinemasins for the most part, and not do those all the time. I'll probably get back to a movie rant at some point, but yeah, I don't have anything to yell about today. So we'll go on to our next thing, which is a recasting.
No stars.
No stars?
I want Bruce Willis.
Not Bruce Willis. No Schwarzenegger.
Julia Roberts. This is bad. Bad for movie stars everywhere.
Whoa!
It's been a while. It's been a while since we've done a recasting. 20 years ago, a movie called Almost Famous came out. Cameron Crowe. Debatably, maybe his last good movie.
Yes.
Vanilla Sky is one of those that gets it's you either hate it or you love it. I don't know. But then after Vanilla Sky, it starts going downhill after that. But Almost Famous is great. It's got 1 million people in it that are fantastic. And we figured we would how would we recast this today in 2020? So, who wants to go first?
I think we should let Mr. B go first. He did the first casting.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Let he who does the first casting throw out the first stone or some shit.
This was tough, though. I mean, because there are so many female characters in this movie that are between 18 and 22, at least. And there's only so many actresses in Hollywood that are between those ages. And so I'm guessing at least once or twice we all kind of went outside the age range where we had to. But just glancing, I think we all had good castings.
Yeah, and I think there's I saw only one overlap, and that was and I did mine before I started looking at you guys completely. Like I would write a name down and then I would go up and look at your guys' thing. Like, okay, good. They didn't choose that. But then there were a couple times where I was like, I chose somebody and then I looked up and I was like, oh, they have that person for somebody else. But anyway, I think for most part, we've got a lot of different actors. Like there's not very much overlap.
We definitely do.
No.
The overall, this is such a good movie, and it's such a unique movie. It's such a movie that only Cameron Crowe could make. Well, obviously, only Cameron Crowe could make because he lived it. It's such a weird story that probably nobody would come up with this unless you had lived it, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was this wunderkind of a writer early on at 15 years old that was taken under his wing by Lester Bangs, a legendary rock critic, who appears in this movie. And he has a fictionalized version of himself. Obviously, a lot of this stuff is fictionalized too. But this is probably, I mean, besides maybe Singles, maybe Fast Times at Ridgemont High, this is probably the most personal movie that he's done. Of course, he didn't direct Fast Times, but he wrote it. Mm-hmm. So yeah, this is like just a perfect encapsulation of that time in music. What I did like, and this will inform my first casting, what I did like is that he didn't get super names to do this. Like, he had just worked with Tom Cruise and Jerry Maguire, was about to work with him again in Vanilla Sky. Big names overall. And he cast Billy Crudup as his lead. Now, Billy Crudup was a star on the rise. He's a great actor and everything. Jason Lee had been mostly known for the Kevin Smith movies. Kate Hudson, this was one of her first roles, wasn't it?
Yeah, Kate Hudson was in like a movie called Gossip, I think, the same year.
Yeah, with Josh Jackson.
Yeah, with Joshua Jackson. And that was the first time I ever saw her. And then, like, within months, she was in that in Almost Famous. And, shot up into the stratosphere there for a while.
Yeah, and I think the movie is better for that. Don't you guys think? Like, it's better for not having Tom Cruise as Russell Hammond, right?
Yeah, you can't. I think that's definitely a conscious choice on his part, because you can't have, I don't know if he originally was going to call this Almost Famous. It doesn't really matter, but it's weird. It would be weird to have really famous people in a movie called Almost Famous.
Yeah.
But the idea of it being just a blue collar band that he's following around, it wouldn't make any sense for there to be Cruise and Pitt and all these people. You have to have some people who are like, you may have seen them a couple of times here and there, but it makes more sense to put those kind of people in.
Well, plus they're all good looking enough and charismatic enough to pull off rock star, right? Like the Jason Lee character and the Billy Crudup character oozed rock star charm.
And it's Jason Lee is actually singing that song, right? Fever Dog?
I don't know. I think I heard that.
Which is a great song, by the way, and I can't remember who wrote the song.
Okay, so Cameron Crowe himself and Nancy Wilson, his wife.
Oh, that's right, Nancy
wrote
Wilson.
3 of them. Peter Frampton was on a couple of them, and Mike McCready from Pearl Jam played guitar on one of them. Hang on, I can tell you in 2 seconds.
These songs sound very much like something you would hear in the 70s. They sound like they're actual hits from the 70s and everything. I love that Fever Dog song.
Oh, fuck yeah. No,
Yeah.
and it was Peter Frampton that wrote some of them too.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote the other 2, and Nancy Wilson and Cameron Crowe wrote the 3 of the 5.
Hello, Peter Frampton. Would you mind writing some original songs for my movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. Anyway, so let me get to my casting.
Yes, I'm sorry.
So for the Russell Hammond, who's the main character, he's the lead guitarist. He's not the singer. But Billy Crudup, who young William basically attaches himself to, I picked Himesh Patel, who was the lead actor in Yesterday. I've talked.
He's your
about
new
him
hotness,
before.
isn't he, man?
He really is my new hotness. I imagined a rock star, and in that Yesterday movie, he embodies very much a rock star, especially with the guitar. He can play that very well. He can sing very well. He just exudes a rock star charm. Also, not a quote huge name until Tenet comes out. Maybe he'll become a name after that. But I think he would be spectacular in this role. Charismatic. You want to root for this type of guy, even when he fucks up and he's got a new girlfriend and stuff like that. Anyway, so that's Russell Hammond. That's a big character. I'm just going by order of IMDb, not necessarily importance. So Elaine Miller, who played William's mom, played by Frances McDormand, spectacular in this, as she always is. I went back and forth a few times on this, but I chose Julia Louis-Dreyfus because she can be serious and scathing. I mean, she gives Russell the business when he comes to meet William at the end of the movie. So I think she could get that acerbic wit going. Plus, it's always nice to see her and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So here's a run of really important characters. Penny Lane. Penny Lane, famously played by Kate Hudson. I thought about this energy that Penny Lane exudes, and its sexuality, but it's also not innocence, but just like an understanding, an old soul, a sweetheart, but also like a realist. She knows, what the deal is and that kind of thing. And the person it made me think of was Hunter Shafer from Euphoria, who has a very similar character in that, where she, she's promiscuous, but she owns it. She is a free spirit, but she also is a very human character. She cares for people, that kind of thing. I think this would be a spectacular way for her to break out into other stuff too, and I could see everybody fall in love with her. Okay, so that's Penny Lane, and plus she's beautiful. She's gorgeous. Yeah. So Jeff Beebe, Jason Lee's character. Jason Lee plays such a good character in this. He's like right on the edge of like Brody, of like yelling, especially about the t-shirts and all that shit. But he's different enough to where you could believe him being a rock star. So Jeff is going to be played by Alden Ehrenreich. Han Solo himself.
Okay.
I could see him having the arrogance that Jeff has, the charisma to be a lead singer in a big band. I think he'd be awesome. Another hard one, William Miller, Patrick Fugit. Patrick Fugit had been in a few things at this point, but he was young. Like, his character's young, but he was also young. Also looked young. And I came up with what I really, really like, Jack Dylan Grazer. This kid is awesome. He was Eddie from It, the sick kid in It Chapter 1. And he was the sidekick in Shazam, the kid with the arm braces, who was fantastic in Shazam. Even better, I think, in that movie than he was in It. And he could play innocent, but still, Patrick Fugit plays this really well, where he's innocent, but he's also kind of wise beyond his years. He's a savant, basically, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I came up with. Anita Miller, his sister, Zoe Deschanel. Deschanel. Shailene Woodley. Hey.
Yeah.
Hey.
That's a good one.
Thank you.
I agree. Shailene Woodley would be great.
Also very wizened, very street smart, that kind of thing. She's going to become an air hostess in the 60s. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now the Whoas. I'm kidding. The Band-Aids, as they call themselves, or the quote groupies that are.
Hey man, they call themselves Band-Aids because it's not just about the sex. They love the music. They love the music.
There is also a lot of sex too.
That is true.
These new girls eat all the steak.
God damn, I love Firuza Balk so much.
I do too.
I love her so much.
Okay, so Polexia Aphrodisia, which who remembers her name, but it's Anna Paquin, one of the three girls that gives William the most amazing sexual experience of his life, and it's his first time, and that's not really fair. So she's one of the ones, the Band-Aids, who's very, very good in this. And
Let's
it's Kiernan
deflower
Shipka.
the kid.
Let's deflower. Your time has come. Kiernan Shipka, Sally Draper herself. Kiernan Shipka is going to be my Polexia Aphrodisia, and she's going to rock Jack's world.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Sapphire, who is our aforementioned Firuza Balk, is Zoe Kravitz. Yeah. She's a little bit older than her character would be playing, but you could see Zoe Kravitz just getting in there and doing the sex.
Yeah, I think so. She's Firuza Balk, I think, was only like 20. She was 26, so she was a little bit older than the other Band-Aids that were in the movie. But
it works out. It works out.
It's not a big deal.
Estrella Starr, who's Bijou Phillips, who was the third Band-Aid that converges on this boy, is going to be played by Maya Hawke. There's a lot of nepotism, by the way, in this, because we got Jack Dylan Grazer, who's like the grandson, son, nephew of Brian Grazer.
Right.
You've got Zoe Kravitz, who's Lenny and Lisa Bonet, and then you got Maya Hawke, who's Uma and Ethan. Anyway,
right.
So those are the girls that are doing girl stuff. Very important character, maybe my favorite part of this entire movie are the conversations with Lester Bangs. Philip Seymour Hoffman plays this fucking character perfectly. The only character I could see fitting into that role is Joaquin Phoenix. Actually, there's two characters, and Jeremy picked my second favorite that I didn't even think of, but we'll get to that in a second. Joaquin Phoenix could totally play the oddball that throws around records at the radio station saying, Iggy Pop! It's too early for Iggy Pop. Iggy Pop! Dennis Hope, by the way, I went way too deep into this, and I think I caused everybody to go way too deep into this.
You did.
Dennis Hope is the sudden Jimmy Fallon that shows up and gets him a private plane and all that stuff. And you got to think that Justin Timberlake could kill that role, right?
Perfect.
I mean, that would be fun as hell. Okay, so the poor cheated on girlfriend.
I can't believe you cast this girl.
Right? It came out of nowhere. I thought, hey, what the hell? The one that has to put up with Hunter Shafer messing with her man, Leslie, is going to be Ana de Armas.
Okay.
Did you cast the bellhop or the EMT that has to flush Penny's stomach?
Leslie's in like the last third of the movie. He gets to like San Francisco or something like that.
He's in like 2 scenes.
Well, she's in the important scenes. She's in the restaurant scene where Penny Lane shows up and takes the lewds. Okay, and then I did the rest of the band. The rest of the band is completely anonymous, by the way. Do you remember who's in the rest of the band? I don't.
I don't remember the actors' names. No,
exactly.
No.
The bass player and the drummer.
You have the one guy who, like, when they're in the plane crash or about to get in the plane crash, where he's like, "Everybody, I'm gay," and I don't care who knows, I'm gay.
So because they're so invisible, I decided to cast 2 actors that I mistake for each other all the time, and they're essentially the same person: Emile Hirsch and Dane DeHaan.
There you go.
So I don't even care who plays bass and who plays drums. They're interchangeable. They're fine actors. They're good looking guys. They could pull off rock stars, but they're also forgettable. That's my cast.
There you go. I like the cast.
All right.
It.
Do we like this cast? I think I
do.
I put a lot of
the cast
thought
is
into
good.
this. Okay.
I think you had 2 or 3 that I'm jealous of, and in general, I like it. Yeah, I do.
Thank you.
Yeah. You or me, Chris?
You go ahead.
All right, so I'm going to give you Chris Hemsworth instead of Billy Crudup for Russell Hammond.
Okay, can I ask you something?
Sure.
What made you think of this? I don't know if it was subconscious or conscious, but did you picture Chris Hemsworth with long hair standing on the top of the roof saying, "I am a golden god"?
No, but I pictured him with long hair and shirtless, and like I think he could deliver the lines the same kind of personality, like, because Crudup's great in this movie. He goes between, serious and humorous. I just feel like Hemsworth has that kind of charm where, he's not Tom Cruise. He's probably a little too famous, but he could be a rock star in an up and coming band that's about to get a cover of Rolling Stone written about them. And I think I skewed a little older on the band than you guys did, or at least Barrett did. And that's another thing that came to mind is that we all gloss over here is that these girls are pretty young, and these guys are all like 30, late 20s, early 30s. It's a little bit of skeeziness here.
Crudup was 33 or 34 when this movie came out. Jason Lee was a little bit younger than Crudup. And then, like Kate Hudson was 20. And not even.
She was 20. Her character, I think, was in high school or was that age.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm not trying to make everybody skeezed out. So for the mom, Frances McDormand, I picked Jennifer Aniston.
Nice.
I specifically pictured that scene. Rock stars have kidnapped my son.
Yeah.
But I could see her really doing that justice.
Plus, she's sneakily 51.
She is. She's over 50.
Yeah.
And she still looks great. As all women over 50 do. For Penny Lane, I really wanted to go with Zendaya because I think she has that charm. I think there's a very specific quality needed here to play this character. Unlike the other Band-Aids, which I find to be relatively interchangeable, this one has to be magnetic. It has to ooze both confidence in the right moments and complete fragility in the others. And I think I probably just have cast Zendaya too many times and things. So I'm going with a new actress that I'm enjoying is Amanda Stenberg.
Yeah, hate you good.
Oh,
yeah, the girl from The Hate You Give. She played Rue in the first Hunger Games. In The Hate You Give, she's about 21, I think, maybe about the same age Kate Hudson was when they made Almost Famous.
Mm-hmm.
She's so charming in The Hate You Give. When she smiles genuinely at one of those boys flirting with her, what have you, there is something magnetic about that girl, and I think she's going places. And so I chose her. And you put these in a weird order, but for Jason Lee's Jeff Beebe character, I'm going with Jason Segel. I couldn't think of anybody else.
Shouldn't
basically
he be the bass player?
I think the order is coming off of the IMDb credits, right?
Yep. Slapping the bass.
Slapping the bass. So here's where I do a little bit of a departure. For William Miller, for Patrick Fugit's role, I'm making it gay, and I went with Sophia Lillis.
There you go.
Nice.
Who I think could pull off the right amount of... and it's not actually in making it gay. I guess I'm sort of making the story bi.
Yeah.
If Penny Lane is
Penny Lane's
kind of
still sleeping with the lead singer, but
yeah,
she could still be flirting with the William Miller character. Yeah.
Mhm.
I could see her playing a character that, you know, is innocent and new to this world, and gets pulled in. For the Band-Aids, again, I believe these characters are largely interchangeable. I went with, I skipped one, but I'll come back to that. Anya Taylor-Joy, India Isley, and Lana Condor, who's Jubilee in X-Men Apocalypse.
Nice.
Yeah, I've seen India Isley in a few things, but when I looked this up, I was like, God, she looks like she's like 14 years old or something, but she's 27.
Yeah, she's 27 years old.
Yeah. And she's I'm sorry to break it. She's what's her name from Romeo and Juliet's daughter. Olivia Hussey.
Hussey's daughter, yeah.
Yeah.
For the older sister, Zoe Deschanel, I'm choosing Caitlin Deaver from Booksmart.
Nice.
Yeah, perfect.
I especially think that shoulders slouched, exhausted at the end, being brought home by her sibling. I think she could nail that.
You know, it's funny though. You know, I was sitting here thinking, who's like Zoe Deschanel these days? There's really not very many of those. I mean, she's the embodiment of the pixie dream girl, right? It's like she plays a lot of those roles. And I looked her up recently, and like after that New Girl stuff, she's really just done voice work for Trolls, and that's about it. And I'm wondering what if she's like just settled down with like a family or something and doesn't want to act too much anymore, or what.
Well, she does music stuff too.
Oh yeah, that's right.
All right. Anyway, let me get back to the casting. All right. So for Lester Bangs, this is my best pull, I think. I got Bill Hader.
Say it again.
Bill
I'm sorry.
Hader.
Who is it?
Yeah, Bill Hader, I think, could totally play this role. He may have to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He may have to put on weight. I don't know, and wear a wig.
No, he's perfect. He's so perfect that I got angry when I saw that.
Yeah.
Like, God damn it!
No,
Because he can lower his voice to a red. He's got such a range.
Yeah,
he can be serious but goofy at times. They're not your friend.
I was that mad.
They're not your friend. They're going to offer you drugs. They're going to do this. They're not.
He
your
could
friend.
do that. You know, I've met you. You're not cool. Totally be that guy. All right, so I was mad at your Timberlake pull, so I had to go instead of Jimmy Fallon. I'm picking Donald Gleason.
Oh yeah,
who I think could be charming in that role. The girlfriend who I didn't feel the need to recast, but I still did it. I'm picking Miley Cyrus. Why not?
Yeah, sure.
And then for the other two members of the band, since I already got Jason Segel in this band, I went with Seth Rogen and Jonah Hill.
There you go. This suddenly starts becoming an Apatovian, Almost Famous.
I'd be there for it.
Yeah, for sure. No, I love this, and I forgot to mention when you may have brought this up, but I was looking up this who actually sang the songs in Almost Famous while you were talking about Justin Timberlake. It's a perfect a replacement for Jimmy Fallon, since they did so many things together on Saturday Night Live when Timberlake was in his heyday and everything. I did look up who sang the songs. His name's Marty Fredrickson.
Marfred.
Yeah, he was in a band called Bonham, which I'm wondering, was that Jason Bonham's?
I think so.
Jason Bonham's group. So he's the singing. He's the guy doing the singing in the movie. Okay, so yeah, you guys killed it on yours. So I had to I had to come up with the scraps. No, I came up with some good ones. For Russell Hammond, I have Robert Pattinson. If you haven't seen Robert Pattinson since Twilight, then you've been missing some great performances. Mm-hmm. That guy's got the chops. That guy is awesome. He's about the same age as Crudup was.
Did you see that story about where he tried to lie to Christopher Nolan about his Batman audition?
Yeah.
And he said
I didn't.
They were shooting Tenet. And he said I got a family emergency, and Nolan just deadpan, "You're going to audition for Batman, aren't you?" Like he just knew right
away. That's awesome.
Which is the convergence of things. It's so beautiful. Hey, what is Pattinson's best movie? I haven't caught up with him recently. I wanted to see Cosmopolis. I wanted to see Good Time. I could see Good Time at any point, but I know he's been in good movies. But what is his?
I probably haven't seen his best performance because he's in several other movies I've been told are really good, and I need to go on a run here. But the ones I've seen, I love Good Time, and I love his performance in The Lighthouse.
Oh, okay, I forgot that. Yes, I love that. I love that.
Yeah, and if you've been seeing anything that he's been in recently, he's just he's obviously one of these people who gets it. It's only a matter of time before he has what would be considered a second breakout role, and it might be that Tenet. Who knows? But it's only a matter of time before that guy starts getting awards recognition and things like that. So
yeah, Lighthouse is amazing.
Yeah. For Elaine Miller with the Frances McDormand character, I have Catherine Hahn.
Nice.
Good one.
Yeah, Catherine Hahn showed that she could play that kind of a dorky mom and Mrs. Fletcher. And so I think she would be a good replacement here. Here's one overlap that I had. Penny Lane, I have Maya Hawke for that.
Nice.
For Penny Lane. I think she is has the sort of that perfect kind of quality to her. And she's interesting, by the way, to look at because she is the perfect blend of her parents. Like you can see Uma Thurman and Ethan Hawke in her face. It's the craziest thing. Like most of the time you're like, okay, yeah, I get it. I can see them I can see those parents that person, their parents. I can see that. But it's perfect for her. It's uncanny.
Yeah.
For Jeff Beebe, the Jason Lee character, I have Dave Franco.
Nice.
Now, the only thing about Dave Franco, I had him there and I took him off, and then I don't know if I can really see him as a rocker, a long-haired rocker guy, because he's always playing these clean-cut, but I'm sure he could pull it off. I think he could do it. He could do it well. For William Miller, the Patrick Fugit character, I have Noah Jupe, who is in Honey Boy, and he is Christian Bale's kid in Ford versus Ferrari.
Oh, he's good.
He's in a couple of other things that I can't remember right now, but that kid is everywhere, and I think he would be a good William Miller. For young William, by the way, I cast him too. I have Christopher Convery, who is in The Boy too, but I think he was also in Stranger Things and things like that. I just picked him because hey, he's a young kid who could fit the role.
Cool.
For Dick Roswell, their manager, that Noah Taylor played in the original. I have Patrick Fugit playing that as a callback to the whole thing.
Nice.
So Patrick Fugit will play Dick Roswell. Anita Miller, the Zoe Deschanel character, I have Margaret Qualley playing.
Oh, nice.
Her. In fact, there was a period there where I was looking at Once Upon a Time in Hollywood and just looking at all the different women that Quentin Tarantino cast in that movie, and I was like, geez, how many of these would be perfect for a lot of this stuff?
Yeah.
For Palexia Aphrodisia, the Anna Paquin character, I have Maisie Williams for her.
Nice.
You know, I it was another one that I did a revolving door of actors, and I was like, I don't want it to be all the same, like from all the same source. And like I said, I had Once Upon a Time in Hollywood like up there, and I was like, geez, all these people would be perfect and everything. And I was sitting there like, where could I put Sydney Sweeney? I could put Sydney Sweeney somewhere, but ended up on Maisie Williams for her.
So Maisie Williams is 18, 19 or something like that now, right?
She's 23.
She's 23. But of course, as you saw her grow in Game of Thrones, everybody kind of thought of her as a kid, which is why people lost their shit when she seduced the dude, right? In the last season. But she's of age. She's completely in control of her sexual. What's going to be weird, though, is New Mutants was filmed like 4 or 5 years ago or something like that. So she's going to be reverted to looking like her old self again. So like casting her in something like this would be probably a shock to some people, but she would look 23-ish or so, you know?
Yeah. For Sapphire, the Fairuza Balk character, I have Elle Fanning in there. You know, Elle Fanning, I think can play that sort of that really solid rock chick like Fairuza Balk does in this. For Estrella Star, the Bijou Phillips character, I have Lily Rose Depp.
Nice. Nice.
And then for Lester Bangs, now you guys killed it with your Lester Bangs. I'm going to go with Armie Hammer for Lester Bangs here. I think he's solid. I don't know if Hollywood's truly tapped into the greatness of Armie Hammer yet. I had Sorry to Bother You running on repeat about a month or two ago on my Blu-ray, and that movie gets better and better and better the more I watch it. Yeah, when I first watched it, I was like half and half on it, like, man, but now I just love everything that's insane about that movie. And Armie Hammer is so good in that movie, and a lot of the other things that we've seen him in. So I think he would be a good Lester Bangs. For Dennis Hope, the Jimmy Fallon character, I have Bo Burnham coming in for that.
I like that. I like that a lot. If you think who's the new substitute though, instead of Mick Jagger is going to be up there strutting his stuff for 30 years.
I mean, you could still do Mick Jagger. That's what's so crazy.
You could.
Like 20 years later, like, good God.
You could say Eddie Vedder. If you think Eddie Vedder is going to be out there.
Yeah, you could. For Leslie, the Liz Stauber character that everybody was joking that Barrett cast and everything, I put in Sabrina Carpenter. So we have some more hate you give alums going on in there.
Very good.
And then for the bass player, I looked up actors who could play bass and actors who could play drums. So I have Michael Cera playing bass as Othello's character, and I have Jason Schwartzman, his Scott Pilgrim versus the World co-star, playing drums.
Drummer of Phantom Planet.
Drummer of Phantom Planet, indeed. So that rounds out my cast.
Nice.
Digging it.
The ending was the flourish right there, man. That's solid.
All right, guys, it's time to talk about BetterHelp.
Yeah, BetterHelp. Man, without getting too new agey and guru-y and stuff like that, I want to ask everyone right about now, and because it may be a while since somebody's asking you this, how you feeling? How you doing? How's everybody doing that's listening to this right now? Are you doing okay? Because a lot of times, and I'm speaking from personal experience, you feel like you're doing okay. You're going about your life. Everything's okay. You're just doing what you're doing and stuff like that. But you don't stop to think about actually how you're doing, you know, with yourself, with your relationships, with your communication, stuff like that, with your health. And sometimes it is very, very good to have a pause like that and be able to talk to somebody about a certain problem that you've been kind of avoiding, or a certain problem that you haven't really thought about for a long time, but may be contributing to some bad behaviors, whether it's lack of sleep, whether it's lack of exercise, whether it's lack of communication, substance abuse, stress, anger, all that stuff. So we have a service called BetterHelp that's available to everyone worldwide. Thousands of licensed counselors. BetterHelp.com. That is online counseling that you can do from the comfort of your own home. You log on, you sign up for it, you answer a few questions, and you get matched to a counselor. That counselor will then go through kind of like an intake procedure and say, hey, what do you want to work on? And it forces you, and this is, again, my personal experience, it forces you to think about yourself, your health. I didn't mean that to kind of rhyme. And to take a second to actually like focus on your thoughts. Jeremy, I don't know, and I don't want to put you on the spot, but this is jarring the first time that you do it, right? Because you're used to kind of going along and avoiding things or just surface level things. Once you stop, things get real, right?
Yes. The therapy, you get out of it what you put into it. Let's assume that you have a good rapport with your therapist. If you don't want to present the issues that are maybe things you don't typically speak about, at least in public, then you're not going to make much headway on those issues. But if you're able to be open and honest, then yeah, it's jarring. Any kind of therapy is, because you're sort of trusting someone with things that you may not even trust a relative or a close friend with. And that can be daunting and scary, but you have to view it as they're professionals, and that not only you also have confidentiality, but they want to help you. They want you to get better. Yeah. I did want to tell one anecdote. Yesterday, I had the worst day I've had in a long time for a variety of reasons, external factors, but also I was just in a pit. I was just down all freaking day. And my wife kept checking on me. Are you okay? Do you know, what's wrong? Can you put your finger on it? After she'd gone to bed, I looked down and I'd forgotten to take my freaking anxiety pill.
Oh.
And an anxiety pill is not a one-time fix for anxiety. Maybe it's not something I have to take for the rest of my life, but it is something that I have to take regularly and keep in my bloodstream so that it can do its job. Therapy is very similar. You can't do one therapy session and go, well, I don't feel fixed. You can't do 5 therapy sessions and go, well, everything's not better yet. It is a process, and it is a process that I can tell you firsthand has improved my life in a lot of different ways. And BetterHelp, in this time when so many people are unable or unwilling to travel, it's a lifesaver.
It really is. It really is. And when I say it's jarring, it's jarring in a good way. It's just like going to the doctor and figuring out something is wrong and fixing that problem, rather than, just kind of going along and dealing with that problem, walking on a sore foot or something like that, or having a cough for a month instead of getting it treated. This is exactly the same. It's just having to do with yourself, your feelings, your emotions, your brain, which affects physiology, all that stuff. BetterHelp is available at a unique time that we're all living in right now, and it will continue to be available after this unique time hopefully passes. And I've been doing this, I just realized, for over a year now.
Wow.
I didn't even realize that. And I'm going to try not to get choked up. But I found that I've barely scratched the surface, and there's much to do. But now that I'm into it, you can see the light at the end of the tunnel. And it's something that I needed to do. So if you feel like there's any reason for you to contact a licensed counselor, this is such an easy way to do it. BetterHelp.com, HELP.com/SinCast will get you 10% off your first month, which if you use it as much as I do is not insignificant. I would encourage anyone who's take a second and do a little mental checklist and see how you're doing. Don't just kind of like, I'm fine, I'm skipping through this ad, I want to get to the movies and the things and the anger and stuff like that. I want to take a second, think about what's going on with you. If you feel like you need to reach out to someone, go to betterhelp.com/SinCast and treat yourself. Do something. Do something good for yourself. Oh, that was fun. I like doing those things.
Yeah. I think so. Okay, so now that we've recast a movie and shit all over Cameron Crowe's work, no, we didn't. We didn't do that. Does anybody have any recommends or warns?
Totes amazeballs.
They're great.
It won the Academy Award.
Oh, for what?
For best movie ever made.
There's a series I picked up. I had heard about for a really long time. This series is now 15 years old, I think. But the reason why I was inspired to go watch it was that I'd only seen snippets of it. And when we were talking to Scott Sava about Animal Crackers, and he brought up Ian McKellen, I brought up the scene in Extras that Ian McKellen has where he's talking about the art of acting and everything. And Ian McKellen is fucking sublime in that episode.
So gorgeous. It's so.
I mean, he's like when Peter Jackson came to me and asked me if I wanted to play Gandalf the Wizard, I said to him, "You know that I am not, in fact, actually a wizard, right?"
I'm not a
and
wizard.
Peter Jackson said, "Yes, I know you are not." He's like, so like it's for me. I have to get on the set and I have to be like, "What would a wizard do?" Because that's what acting is.
I had to pretend to be a wizard. You see. You're not, I see. I've lost you. I've lost you. And Enrique Gervais is like, no. I understand. He's like, no. I see you've lost you.
He's like, how did I know what to say? The lines were written down. They were in a script. He's like, where did I know where to go? Somebody pointed me to where to go. So I started watching Extras because, and I had heard that it was a really funny show. It does have some hallmarks of shows like, where it's got some uncomfortable humor in it and things like that. But I think it's a good balance. I don't think it's all that or anything like that. But you follow around Ricky Gervais, and I want to look up the actress he plays alongside because she's fantastic. It is Ashley Jensen. So they basically their whole lives are getting on these sets to play extras, and Gervais is really like looking for that big moment. He wants to have a breakthrough of some sort so he can do quote unquote real acting, and so every episode basically boils down to they're on some new set. And they have a guest star on these shows every time. They always find a way to be in some movie where some huge actor is playing. And every single time those actors are they are playing quote unquote themselves, but it's their asshole, like absolute total asshole selves and everything. So you have like Patrick Stewart on there, and like Gervais tries to pitch him a script. And Stewart's like, I myself have been doing my own writing. He's like, and he describes this scene where it's like I'm this guy who can, they talk about X-Men. He's like, yeah, but I want to be like that, like that in the real world where I'm a man who has mind control powers and everything. So I go around and I can like pull some woman's clothes off and everything. And you're just walking down the street and I pull down the woman's clothes and everything. And he goes, is that it? Is that all you're going to do? Well, yeah, because after I pulled off the clothes, I've seen everything, and it's great. And like, and like every scenario, he turns. Gervais is like, well, so what is the story? What does he do? And like everything inevitably involves like pulling someone's clothes off, and I've seen everything, and blah 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 blah. But Orlando Bloom is on one, and he's let the sexiest man alive shit go to his head, and he just keeps talking about how great he is and how handsome he is and everything. The Daniel Radcliffe one is fucking great because I think he's still like 16 or 17 at the time. And like,
is that the one where he's like super horny or like
yes,
looking for drugs?
He keeps going around to every woman on set and everything. He's like, oh, I see you got a wedding ring. That doesn't stop me very much. And like, and he's like, he goes up to the Ashley Jensen character. And he says, yeah, I've done it with women before, intercourse wise.
Intercourse wise.
Wow, I'm totally going to say that to my wife later on.
I have not. I'm about an episode or two away from finishing the series. It only had 2 seasons, but it's fantastic. I think Gervais and Ashley Jensen have great chemistry. She's the one who just doesn't get things. She doesn't get anything really at all, and so whenever he's trying to lie or he tells a story in confidence, she always manages to fuck that up somehow. That's her big role. But I mean, she's got her own thing going on too in the show, but she's a revelation to me. I'm sure people in Great Britain know all about Ashley Jensen, but for me, it's brand new. I had never seen her before, and I just find her adorable. But yeah, the show is funny. I highly recommend it. It's something that would take probably a weekend to get through the series. So, Extras is great.
What do you think about Ricky Gervais? Overall,
I like Ricky Gervais.
I think I do too. It seems like as he gets older, he gets ornerier and he gets a little more too much for me.
Yeah. I mean, I think once people think you're a certain thing, they keep pushing you to be that kind of thing all the time. And it becomes a little bit much, but I think if you just leave him to his own devices and he does his own thing and everything, it turns, I think he's good. That I was looking because I thought it was the same show, but I was looking for that Liam Neeson clip that he has with Gervais.
Oh,
and that's from Extras? And that's from Life's Too Short, where they're making a movie or a documentary about Warwick Davis or something like that.
Oh yeah.
And I think it's a series of episodes where people come in and they try out or they want to do something. Liam Neeson has that great moment where he's like, I've decided that I wanted to do some comedy, and that whole thing where he's like, well, it's I want to do more improvisations, okay. He's like, let's just go ahead and do a scene. It's you play a doctor and I'm a patient. And he's like, oh, okay. And Liam Neeson comes in. He's like, hi, I'm sorry. He's like, the doctor's like, how are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm not doing very well. I have full-blown AIDS. And and Stephen Merchant is like, that seems a little heavy for a comedy routine. And he's like, well, how does he get away with it? Pointing to Ricky Gervais. And Stephen Merchant's like, I don't know. We don't know why. We don't know how that happened. So that I'm going to watch that too. But yeah, Extras is really funny. I recommend it.
Nice. All right, good call.
What do you think?
I watched a little movie from last year called Jojo Rabbit.
Aha!
Finally.
Well, I'm a little late to the game on most of these movies.
Chris, you've seen this. I've seen this.
Mm-hmm.
What did you think?
I need to see it again. I watched it one very late night at Green Hills, and to try to get all my Oscar nominees rounded up. And so, yeah, I need to watch it again.
I'm recommending this. It was close to a Rebecca Warren because I had trouble with the tone.
Yeah.
And it does not, in my opinion, pull off the delicate balance of light tone and heavy tone the way Life is Beautiful does. And I compare it to that because both movies are about seeing Nazism through the eyes of a child.
Mm-hmm.
The moments that are light in Jojo Rabbit feel a little too light, and it kept the heavier moments from having impact. There's even a moment where I don't want to spoil this movie, it's relatively new, but there's even a moment where one character's relative has died, and another character says, sorry about your relative, and the first character goes, so what's that over there? And I was just like, there could be a lot of weight to this moment, but this is trying to be a kid beat instead of a heavy beat. That being said, I enjoyed it, and I think most people would. Sam Rockwell was probably my favorite part. and the girl that he hides in his house, I thought she was exceptional as an actress. And there are very funny moments, especially the moment where he sees his old friend, and his old friend drops the cart he's carrying to wave hi, and a fucking missile shoots out of it and blows up a building, and the kid's like, shit. And then they have this hilarious conversation while they're pulling this wagon of ammo, talking about, basically, it's the kids talking about Nazis, and the one kid says, hey, the Russians are out there. They're even worse than the Nazis. You don't even know. The Japanese are our only friends, but they don't look too Aryan, if you ask me. There's a lot of good barbs and humor. I am not trying to detract from it by almost making it a record warn. I liked it. I liked it a lot, and I think you would too. That's really all I have to say about it. The lead kid is great, and the director is great in his small role as Hitler. He's clearly chewing the scenery up. But it did many times. It reminded me of Life is Beautiful, and I think that movie ultimately pulled off the dance a little better. So there you go.
Yeah, just for the record, Roman Griffin Davis plays JoJo, and Thomasin McKenzie plays Elsa, the girl that gets hidden.
She was great. I'm not sure I've seen her in anything. But,
the only other thing, I mean, I don't remember The Hobbit too much, but she plays Astrid in that, and then she's also in a movie that I saw earlier this summer called True History of the Kelly Gang.
Okay.
Which we got to watch as a critical screening or whatever. So
that's right.
What did you think of Scarlett Johansson, Jeremy?
I thought she was great. I don't want to spoil the movie, but I wasn't happy necessarily with how her character was used.
That whole scene at the dinner table, though, brought her to a whole new echelon for me, where he's like, I want my father. And she goes from her, it's a high wire act. She is being the Roberto Benigni character, basically.
Yeah.
Right?
She's trying to hide the horrors from her kid. Yeah.
But she's funny, but she's strict. And, that kind of thing. She makes sure everything's good. She dances. She tries to keep things light. But then she goes into this dramatic mode, into really the only way that she can communicate what she's feeling to her kid. And that whole kabuki theater of smearing the ash on her face and all that stuff is just, I don't know, man. That's a movie that was very memorable to me. And to me, the tonal shift, I think I mentioned this before, that was one of the only holy shit moments where I had to pause it, because I had it on Blu-ray at the time. I had to pause it and just walk around for a while, because it does shift jarringly. And I think Aaron said the same thing. Like, I think you either go with it or you don't. And it sounds like you didn't quite go with it. I went with it headlong, and I thought it was brilliant. I thought they pulled it off.
I did love the very last scene. I love the way this movie ends.
I do too.
And it's not a big spoiler, but I'm still not going to tell you because it's a very, very, very lovely ending, and it made me smile. So there you go. It's a recommend. I did not ultimately recommend. I just, there is some tone shift. Maybe look at the Does the Dog Die website before you watch this movie. But I do recommend it.
Speaking of Stephen Merchant, he's in there as one of the inspectors, isn't he?
Yes.
He's the one, like the super genial inspector that comes in and smiles and everything.
Yes.
But he's super evil. He's like, he's basically the fucking Christoph Waltz character, right?
Yeah.
All right, I got an old one. I got a 30-year-old movie to recommend.
Boom.
Wow.
Because I finally rewatched it. It was one of my most watched movies growing up. And I didn't really, it's funny. I watched this before I watched The Godfather. It's a movie called The Freshman. And we've mentioned it in passing before. It was 1990. And this is such a unique movie. It was directed by Andrew Bergman, who's known mostly as a writer. It's got a great cast. Marlon Brando, in 1990, by the way, before he completely lost his mind. Matthew Broderick, Bruno Kirby. May sound weird to have Marlon Brando and Bruno Kirby in the same movie. Penelope Ann Miller, Frank Whaley, 90s as fuck, Frank Whaley.
Yeah.
Paul Benedict, Mr. Edley Begley, whatever his name is from the Jeffersons, and a host of other. B.D. Wong shows up, Maximilian Schell in a great part. What this is God, how do you explain this movie? I'm going to try to use as few words as possible. Matthew Broderick is a freshman going to NYU, and he gets robbed one night by some dude, and he finally finds the guy who robbed him, and he confronts him. And the guy who robbed him says, you know what? You got some spunk to you. And says, I'm going to take you to my boss and let you meet him. The guy turns out to be Marlon Brando. Marlon Brando is playing a guy named Carmine Sabatini, and Matthew Broderick's looking at him within the movie and saying, he's sitting behind like this oak desk. It's dark. He's got a cat. He's crushing walnuts in his hand. And he's like, hey, you look a lot like... And then nobody says anything. He's like, no, don't say that. And Bruno Kirby plays his right-hand man. Also sounds familiar because of The Godfather 2, where he plays Vito's right-hand man in the earlier days. Basically, this whole thing turns into a mob story that Matthew Broderick's character gets enveloped into, whereby he's to the surprise of him, he's engaged to marry Carmine's daughter, Penelope Ann Miller. He's trying to go to school. He's going to film school. Everybody that meets Carmine also says the same thing, like, the resemblance is uncanny. You know, and what he's trying to do, he works for he runs the Gourmet Club, which is also where Maximilian Schell is the chef, and they serve endangered species. That's their big thing. Yeah, people can pay up to $1 million to eat the last of a species, and it is one of the funniest movies that you'll see. This is Matthew Broderick in his prime. This is Marlon Brando. I swear to God, playing Vito Corleone, playing a knowing wink, not even a wink, like a nod to Vito Corleone, saying the same thing. The professor in the class is showing his class Godfather 2. This is just the craziest, like, meta shit that you've ever seen, but it's funny. It works on so many levels. Again, I saw this before I saw The Godfather, so I was like, okay, that's pretty funny. But like seeing, knowing The Godfather the way I do now, like, it's just absolutely hilarious. I would totally recommend this movie. Even now, it holds up very, very well. Watch it. The Freshman. Freaking hilarious. The only thing dated really is B.D. Wong's haircut and Frank Whaley's outfit.
It has been 30 years since I've seen this movie. I saw this in theater, so I also saw this before I saw The Godfather. But even at that point, the tropes of The Godfather, the general things about The Godfather were known. Yeah. But I still could not possibly appreciate all the different nods to The Godfather in that movie, especially like I didn't know who the fuck Bruno Kirby was, like back then, and certainly didn't know that he was in Godfather 2 at the time. But I remember this being a good movie. It's been forever since I've seen it. I think it came on cable a couple years ago, and I watched maybe a scene from it. But I need to revisit this.
I remember. Okay, so I didn't see it in theaters. I saw it on home video when I was in college or just after. And I remember feeling like this is the perfect movie to have missed in theaters and caught at home. And I really liked it.
There's subtle sight gags in this that are just... Brando is on point, absolutely on point in this, where like he'll order a cappuccino. He's in his restaurant office and everything. He'll order a cappuccino, and he's staring straight at Matthew Broderick. And he's like, do you want some sugar? He's like, okay, I get some sugar. And he starts putting in the sugar. And he just ends up putting like 20 scoops of sugar while he's talking to thing. And he takes one sip and he's like, no. It's subtle things like that. He plays the exact same character as Vito Corleone. It is absolutely great. I love it.
All right.
And young piano player
Piano.
Penelope Ann Miller.
Yep.
Piano player Ann Miller.
She's one of those. She's one of those actors back in that period of time where she had several movies all in one thing. She was like, hot shit there for a while.
She was.
She was in Carlito's Way. She's in a ton of stuff, and then just kind of disappeared. She reminds me a little bit of who's it? Nancy Travis had that period where she was in everything there for a long time, and then just kind of vanished for whatever reason. No reason that I know of, but Penelope Ann Miller, that's a name.
That sure is a name.
That's a name. And by the way, I was just looking up Penelope Ann Miller, and she's in a lot of stuff. It's just a lot of stuff that you may not have seen her in the last few years, but she's continued to work a bunch since.
I wonder if it's the same for Frank Whaley, by the way, because he disappeared.
Right.
It looked like he was really on the rise in the mid-'90s, but yeah.
She's Penelope Ann Miller was in what was the movie that I saw? I don't know, but she's in a lot more stuff than I thought she was since the 90s. That was her heyday. I'm gonna look up Frank Whaley as well, because Frank Whaley for sure is one of those actors in the 90s. But yeah, he's got tons of stuff here. He was in Hustlers, but he's like in it for like 5 minutes, man. Like not even that.
Is he one of the guys that gets drugged?
Yeah. He's like one of the first guys that gets that treatment.
I haven't seen it yet. How does he look? Does he look like Frank Whaley, like an older version?
Yeah, man,
you
can't mistake him. You can't mistake him.
It's
That's
like Tom Everett Scott in La La Land.
Yeah, man, he's a skateboard away. He's a skateboard and a Jennifer Connelly away from doing career opportunities again.
Yeah, I love that movie.
Yeah.
Let's just go to questions.
Let's go to
All
questions.
Question. I got something to say. I want the truth.
I am listening.
I like these. We got a couple of them that made me hard.
All right. Nice.
Jesus.
Everything either makes Barrett hard or blows his scrotum sack on the floor. Or...
There's a lot of action going on down there. I don't.
There
know.
is. There is. Your penis is more machine than man.
Twisted and evil.
Twisted and evil.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to really work to not have that be the cold open. Oh. All right. What is a movie that you watched which changed your ideas of what a movie could be in some way? What a broad but beautiful question.
I will tell you straight up, and this has not changed over the years, but Pulp Fiction is the first time I remember really just going, God damn it, how in the world did this movie get made? And we know Pulp Fiction at this point. Like everybody knows Pulp Fiction at this point, inside and out. Nothing seems like there's nothing about it that seems particularly mind blowing now because we've seen so many things that are kind of like it and whatever. But just think about, me at the time, 17 years old, had seen through the 1994 year movies like Forrest Gump and these type of movies. That's basically what you think of as movies at the time. Forrest Gump. Those were the movies. When Pulp Fiction came out, I was sitting there like just watching it with this just like probably this look on my face like, what the fuck is this? The gangsters are sitting there talking about Burger King. They go up to this apartment and they're about to kill somebody, but they have to wait a minute. It's not time yet. We have to go and talk about foot massages over here in a secret corner before we go back and kill these people. The structure of it going back and forth and everything and in time and characters that are dead are alive again by the end of it. I watched this movie like sort of forgetting because my mind is trained to think of movies in a linear fashion. Yeah, I had forgotten, even though it's a great scene, I'd forgotten about the pumpkin honey bunny scene at the very beginning.
Sure.
Because I just thought it was
Sure.
another story that they just, that's where it ended. And then like by the time it got to the end and, Travolta and Sam Jackson are in that diner and everything. And then finally they show that they're in the same diner at the same time. It's like, oh, holy fuck. I'd totally forgotten about those people. And this somehow connects to that. Wow, that's fucking crazy to me. And again, thinking of it so linearly, I actually thought Samuel L. Jackson might die in the scene, even though it happens before the scene when they go to Marcellus's bar and give him the case.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that they were wearing the volleyball, the volleyball clothes and all that other stuff didn't even faze me. I was just like, okay, whatever. I'm just watching a movie that's going straight through. When Paul Calderon was like, hey, what's up with them clothes? I'm like, I didn't even really think about it. It's like, because the last time I saw these characters, they were in suits and it looked like it just did a different part of the movie to me. So Pulp Fiction for me, and I understand, Jeremy, you've recently watched this again and you don't think it holds up as much. I kind of agree with that, by the way. I think there's a lot of things in that movie that don't hold up anymore. It's pretty obvious what doesn't hold up anymore in this movie. But just the idea of what you can do with movies, that's it.
This is the perfect answer to this question, for sure. And I didn't write it down before you did, so I obviously have inferior answers. I wrote 3 because I always go overboard. But when I first saw 7 in the theater with those fucking opening credits jumping all over the screen and that music.
Yeah.
Now, this is maybe a year and a half, 2 years after I've gone away from home to college and fallen in love with movies, and I watch a lot of movies now, but I had never seen anything like 7, especially the idea that you could – there were 2 things that blew my mind the most, that you could hide a guest star arguably more famous than your 2 leads at the time the movie was made, or at least that reveal of Kevin Spacey – problematic today is still an incredible reveal that I'm sad if you knew he was in that movie before you went to see it. And then, of course, the ending and the balls of this movie. It just showed me movies can be more than what I have previously expected. And then The Matrix did the same thing, both in terms of a story that turned my brain to mush, but also the visuals and the bullet time, running on walls, and shit that I had never seen in a movie.
Again,
and then
I'm sorry to break in, but
you're good.
Think about not knowing what that looked like before it actually happened. You had never seen that before. And then Matrix comes along, and there's this trailer where Keanu's doing this bendy thing with the bullets like in slow motion and all that. Like, that was insane at the time. Like, how the hell did they do that? So
it turns out they set up like 100 cameras in a circle and created a technology.
They did.
And then the other one I wrote down was Toy Story, the first Toy Story, because that was the first time that a computer animated anything had as much heart as the old classic hand-drawn Disney stuff. Or even the modern Disney stuff like Lion King or what have you. And that, again, was like, wow, where do we go from here? And, of course, we've seen each successive Toy Story makes the previous one look like crayon drawings in terms of how much better they've gotten. But that first one, I mean, this is a great movie, great story, fun voices, but half the enjoyment was just like, holy shit, look at what they did with the computer.
Yeah, I've mentioned this before about 7. If there's anything about this, talking about these movies in this way, just thinking about the contexts of these movies when you see them and what, at what point, because there's going to be a lot of people who are born in 2003 or whatever. And 7 is not going to seem like anything special to them because they've seen tons of stuff like it or whatever by that point. But but also think about, that's the year before Kevin Spacey's a really big actor in 1995. If you were a big moviegoer back then, you saw The Usual Suspects in August, and you watched The Usual Suspects, and you saw that he's Kaiser Sose by the end of it, and it blows your mind. It's a big, huge twist reveal. Then watch 7 and not know that Kevin Spacey is in the movie before you watch it. So, you've already seen him as the devil in Usual Suspects. You go into 7 and you're watching it and you're like, okay, who's this killer? It doesn't even really matter who the killer is. But then it turns out to be, oh my God, it's the guy from Usual Suspects. It's an even more mind-blowing, great reveal when you see it in that kind of an order, so it's important, I think, a lot of times to know that kind of context when we come
I
up
got to
with
give
these
credit to my buddy Josh that I've talked about a bunch on this show. We watched this movie together, and when he yells "detectives," he said, "It's Kevin Spacey!" Oh my God, it's Kevin Spacey, because he was obsessed with Swimming with Sharks,
right?
Nice.
And so he knew the voice as soon as he yelled that, and I wouldn't have gotten it. But yeah, I mean, any other movie would probably not cast that way and would never have the balls to end the way this movie does.
I believe Swimming with Sharks came out the same year as well. It came out earlier in 1995. If not, maybe late 94.
Okay.
But it's fun that Josh is obsessed with that movie. I too have seen Swimming with Sharks 100 billion times. I don't think back in 1995 I had seen it a bunch though. So when that detective shows up, I did not know the voice. Although I've heard some people have picked that it was Kevin Spacey in the stairway scene when Brad Pitt hits the photographer. Because of the, hey, I got a right to be here. Of course, if you've heard enough Kevin Spacey at that point, you can hear him doing a voice at that point. But if you didn't at that time, which I didn't, none of that revealed it until it actually showed his face.
A lot of Frank Whaley movie discussion going on today.
Yes, there is.
Yeah, man.
Friend of the show, Frank Whaley.
Friend of the show, that's right.
I tell you what, you mentioned The Matrix being blowing your mind with the visuals and things like that. The next year, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon did that for me.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Now, I'm sure that wire fu thing had been going on in Hong Kong or wherever for years, but I don't know if it's ever been that sophisticated at that point. Because once they start dancing on top of trees and shit like that, I was like, because I had seen a bunch of Kung Fu, but I was like, I ain't seen this before, man. There's
a reason that for a time that was the highest grossing foreign
language film,
there for a reason. It's beautiful. Even a lot of the earlier wire fu stuff that they were making before American audiences saw it wasn't a painting like this fucking movie is, man. It's art. So I totally get that.
If I recall, it's the same guy who does the Matrix wire fu.
Wing Wu Pen.
Yeah, and you had mentioned that, I think, right, Barrett? You said thinking of the Matrix or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think the beauty part of it came from Ang Lee. And I think that crossed with the choreography just blended perfectly. And I had never seen anything like that. My real answer, that was just piggybacking off of your answer. I've got two other ones. One is bullshitty because everybody says this, but Citizen Kane, even though it came out a long time before I was born, still blew my mind the first time I watched it. The shots that he makes, not only the pan in from the outside raining into the casino and all that, but the mirror shot with Kane coming out through Xanadu and all that. There's just amazing shots in here that even now I'm like, seriously? That's amazing. How did he do that?
Yeah, when I saw Citizen Kane for the first time, when he brings that camera through the window, I was like, well, how the fuck did he do that back then?
I know.
Like, even today, that would be tricky. But back then, I don't want to correct myself. I threw out a sloppy Americanized pronunciation, but it's Yen Wu Ping is the choreographer.
Yeah. That's right. And he had, in Citizen Kane, he had invented things that had not been thought of yet. Like, he wanted to have these low-angle shots to show the towering nature of Charles Foster Kane. And he had to, like, he's like, why don't we just put a hole in the floor and then put the camera down in that and make it look like it's because that was, I guess, at the time, everybody's like, well, there's a floor there, you can't do anything about that, but not Orson Welles. Orson Welles is like, let's fuck some shit up.
Yeah. And he's famously said he's done this because he didn't know any better. He wasn't a cameraman. He wasn't a director. This is his first feature. And he was like, I'll break the rules because I don't know what the rules are.
Which is exactly why, like, it's so important to get new people, new and fresh blood into things, because there are too many people out there who go, oh, you can try that, but it won't work. Or they just put it in their heads that this won't work or whatever. And if you get somebody who doesn't know that, maybe they've thought of it at an angle that that's never been thought of before. I mean, it's hard to do that now, obviously, but there are things out there that people can try, and that it's why fresh blood is so important.
Yep. And the other one is a somewhat surprising thing, but man, the movie Contact in 1997 blew my mind. I wasn't expecting much. I had read Cosmos from Carl Sagan, and I love the way he wrote, because he has this such conversational style, very much like Neil deGrasse Tyson, of explaining absurdly complex topics in a way that stupid people like me can understand. And so I hadn't read Contact at the time. I did after this. But I went into this fairly green. I just knew that it was Zemeckis, it was Foster. Like, I'm on board for this. But the combination between the real life relationships, how big it felt, the initial signal that they got, how it'll give you chills. That sound is just like it was electric, and that the two tracking shots in that movie. Blew my mind. The mirror shot is still, I think, impossible. I've read how they did it, and I still don't know how they did it.
Exactly.
But, so that one, and then the one where she gets the signal and it tracks her all the way back to the lab, the SETI lab, then back up, stays on it for all of it. We've been recording since this. Everybody's getting together. And it's just absolutely nonstop from that point. And even the last part when she does go on the trip, sure, the dad part is a little bit disappointing, but everything up into there, you get her same sense of wonder, like seeing the two stars wrapped around each other and the other galaxy, and the pit stops that she makes is just electric. And I came out of there. I had this wonderful girlfriend at the time. It was a pseudo-intellectual. And we talked for hours about that movie. Well, she turned out to be a pseudo-intellectual.
She was dumb.
No, she's smart, but she thinks she's smarter than she is, too. She was cute. But we talked for a long time after that movie about that movie. And I don't think I've ever talked about one movie that long right after I saw it. And I went back and saw it again the next week, and it was mesmerizing. I don't know how you guys. I know you guys like it, but it had a big impact on me. Subsequent viewings, there's some cheesy parts in there. It's a little bit overlong, but man, I still love it. I still love it.
I've probably talked about Contact a couple of times on the podcast. I love Contact. It's one of these many movies over the years. It's amazing. We bring up these movies from the 90s and everything, and I can pinpoint exactly where I am in time with them. 7 puts me at the Williamson Square 8 and the projection booth of Williamson Square 8 a bunch, just waiting for that movie. It was always the longest one. It was always the one that got out the latest, whatever. So I watched, a lot of 7, but Contact was another one, another like long movie. And like every time I was waiting for everything to shut down for the evening, I would go in and watch Contact, and I would watch the John Hurt scene where he's telling her about the second spaceship and everything. And And I just always get chills watching that, where he's like, they still want an American to go, doctor. Do you want to take a ride? And he's all upside down and shit. And like, cause they put him on Mir, cause he's got these like diseases that work better in space or something.
It's better for cancer in zero gravity.
Right. And then Alan Silvestri's score. Again, I cannot believe this guy has never won an Oscar. I think he's only been nominated one time or something.
That's crazy.
Like, it's insane. Like, how many known Silvestri scores are out there? And this Contact one, man, just always that simple ding 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 all during that whole build up to Jodie Foster going up into the thing. Oh my God. It's just like takes me all back and everything. So yeah, I love Contact, dude.
It's glorious.
Yeah.
It's glorious.
That's going to do it for this week. Keep going to SinCast presented by Cinemasins on Facebook. We're also on Cinemasins Twitter, Music Video Sins Twitter. We're on SoundCloud. We're on Discord. If you want to get on Discord, you can go to our Reddit page and find the link on the right side and go there. Or you can private message me on Facebook and I can give you a link there. But that's going to do it for this week. It's Chris Atkins and Jeremy Scott and Barrett Scher. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening. Comment on our episodes on our SoundCloud page. Check us out on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Reddit. And be sure to visit cinemasins.com.
You guys are doing some awesome shit during that whole thing.
You got 20 seconds of work there that we don't ever have to do. And so today, Barrett started dancing and I just joined him.
It's funny when I'm going through that thing over like every time, like I'm sitting there going, this probably just sounds like God damn it, get over with it already type of bullshit. So I'm like, yeah, I'm the same way. I want to get through this.
It's a call to action, man. It's a call to action.
CTA.
What was I looking at? A movie from... No, it was an album. Pitchfork did their long Sunday review on Rage Against the Machine's Battle of Los Angeles.
Mm-hmm.
Which is weird because I always thought of that as like the third best Rage Against the Machine album, right? Because you had the first one is way top. Then you have Evil Empire, which was great. And then Battle of Los Angeles was good. It had Guerrilla Radio on it, Sleep Now in the Fire, a few good songs on there. But then it went into a deep dive. Pitchfork actually did an insightful article for once and was like all the ethos behind what he was trying to say without clouding it in bullshit and like capitalism and all the stuff and all that, like what he was really trying to say on that record. And like it made it into contextually, like I got to go back and listen to that thing, man. That like listen to it with fresh ears, because when you're 19 years old, all you hear is "Sleep Now in the Fire."
I did see. Did you see that guy a couple weeks ago? Because Tom Morello's on Twitter and he's very outspoken and vocal. And somebody tweeted something like, "Man, remember when Rage Against the Machine was just about music?" And like Twitter roasted his ass for like not having any idea what he was talking about.
Yeah.
Then I went to the bar.
Yes. There's only one thing that means. It definitely doesn't mean that you were going out there to like fashion a table for your house.
He's building a canoe.
It can only mean I have multiple women tied up in my barn to pleasure me whenever I want. It was
pretty amazing that you were able to get those women out of there when we visited that one time. Kept them quiet.
I tell you what, newsflash, they were there. Oh, you just didn't look up.
Oh, I didn't look up. Damn.
This has gotten so fucking dark.
Yeah, it has.
He shows us pictures of women duct taped up to the top of the ceiling, screaming desperately for us to pay attention.
I think I have a new short story idea.
You see Jeremy up on an A-frame ladder, like pulling out duct tape and smiling. All right, Erica, you stay quiet.
I managed to get it all done this morning, man. I was worried about it because Normally I wait until the morning to do these podcast prep, but the morning was shorter than usual because of the Kevin and Keith meeting.
Yes.
And I was up playing online poker until like 2:30 in the morning.
Oh, no.
And so like I woke up at like 8:30 and I'm like, all right, now I got to start whipping up this Almost Famous.
But first I got to go to the barn and feed the women.
That's right. We fuck the horses and ride the women.
How like guys in the 80s used to walk around with the crop tops.
Oh yeah, that was
jorts.
the best.
That was Paul Rudd in Wet Hot American Summer had a crop top.
Yeah.
By the way, I spent far too long on the Clueless recasting, and I was nailing it. I was killing it in the recasting. But the Paul Rudd character, the Josh character, is impossible to recast. I can't think of anybody currently that would be perfect for that role. That's humorous, but also a borderline sex symbol type of thing. Like not too old, not too young. He was like 20, 21 or something like that when he did that role. So, yeah, it was
okay.
It was
He's kind of a bald one. You're not wrong about the wanting to get fucked thing. She wants that Christian guy to fuck her.
That Christian guy, by the way, has gone on to star in like maybe 3 other movies. Did you know this?
I looked him up one day. I was like, where is that guy been?
I know.
Nowhere.
I mean, he was a decent actor and like he's good looking and everything. And just decided he's going to, I think he may be doing plays and stuff like that.
No, he was arrested for having a lot of women tied up in the rafters.
Oh shit! God, it's come full circle. Yeah, so we also need to figure out what happened to the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones after that movie too.
I was listening to Mighty Mighty Boss Tones on the way our most recent trip to Florida. I was thinking the same exact thing, man. They're still touring, or they were touring. But I wonder, like, poor Dickie Barrett, man, that guy, for a ska band, like this, like he would just, he had like that gun thing.
Yeah.
And he was scary. He was scary.
He was
the little dancing guy.
He did all those little facial
dancing,
expressions, man. But yeah, though that music is just so 90s. Like there's no place for it. I mean, I guess somebody could do a modern spin today and try to get that going again, but it's only got a few months probably before it goes back
before
out
everybody
again.
finds it annoying again.
Yeah,
like,
because
I don't want to do this
as
anymore.
soon as you had was it John Spencer? Was that going on during that time too?
He was
his
90s.
name?
John Spencer,
And-
Blues Explosion.
Yeah, and then you had Squirrel Nut Zippers.
Brian
and,
Setzer Orchestra.
Brian Setzer is the one that I was thinking of.
Mm-hmm.
Man, Brian Setzer's guitar solo on that Jump Job and Whale song is one of my favorite. Yeah, God, it's one of my top 10 favorite guitar solos of all time. And that guitar, I would fucking marry and fuck that guitar. That guitar.
Yeah, it's a hollow body Gretsch.
Yeah, I know. I've
so
already dreamed
gorgeous.
about it.
You ever seen him play that live, by the way?
No.
It's nothing to him. He's just like, he may as well be like eating a sandwich and just like.
I fucking hate people that
solo.
can play the guitar like that. It really bothers me. At least pretend that it's work.
And then you also had Big Bad Voodoo Daddy was during that time. So like the mid 90s, and I remember like they were that movement lasted such a short amount of time that when the movie Never Been Kissed came out and they're doing the rumors about Drew Barrymore's character about being like a groupie for the Big Bad Voodoo Daddy, it was already fucking like out of date because it was like 98 when that came out.
I think ska still has a life out there.
Everything does.
Probably
anything
still
that ever
people
had a
are
life
are
has a continued. Like, okay, did you see Smash Mouth had that concert and nobody wore masks and they were all proud of it? You know who was on that bill? Lit.
Oh wow,
the band Lit, who only had one hit and they're out there touring with Smash Mouth. So anybody that was ever a thing can probably still tour and make a few bucks.
That was the "You Make Me Come, You Make Me Complete."
That was them, but their big thing was "My Worst Enemy."
My Own Worst Enemy.
Oh, that one.
You make me completely miserable.
Let's talk about that for a second. How the fuck did they get that song on the radio? Like,
yeah, seriously.
I know that unedited. Like, I know that, they can say, well, look, we're just trying to complete a sentence here. So it's just the beginning of a sentence, and he's just trying to make it through the words, and it's like, no, dude, it's so clearly three different things. You make me come. You're saying that. You said that shit.
You said it.
I remember when they they forced George Michael to change "I Want Your Sex" to "I Want Your Love."
On radio?
Yeah.
So did it say "I want your love" and "I want your love" at the both things?
Yes,
because he says "I want your sex" and then "I want your love" comes right after that.
Okay, I can see Barrett is fact checking me, which is good.
I don't want to fact check.
I remember this being a big controversy because these two guys that were kids of my parents' friends and my brother and I were making fun of it. Because we knew the song was actually "I Want Your Sex," but the radio version was tame, and we would always yell "sex" over when they said. No,
you're right. That's the second one is "I want your sex, I want your love," but then that's not the only time. Sex is said maybe 60 times in this thing. He's like, "Sex is natural, sex is fun, sex is best when it's one-on-one." But then he's
wrong about
I'm
that.
not your father. Sex, I'm not your brother.
Yeah, exactly. It's more like 1 on 3 and 5.
Yeah, or I was thinking 1 on O.
Come on.
1 on O. Yes.
Sex with me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you seen the WAP video? The Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion?
No, and it's already turned into a wormhole I don't really want to get sucked into.
It's a perfectly fun song. It's a perfectly fine song if you like that kind of thing, which I do. It's Lil' Kim, it's Nicki Minaj, it's Eve, it's Queen Latifah, it's all that stuff. It's just a little more promiscuous. And there's some heavy stuff in there about pussy mopping and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's edited. It's edited. It's even worse. Not worse. It's even better. It's even, grosser and wetter in
the edited
actual
version?
Song.
Oh, the actual song.
No, in the actual song.
Because I was about to, because remember that Patton Oswalt thing we went to at Caroline's many years ago?
Yeah.
And he started off that whole, that one bit where he was like, "I want to stick my dick in your wet pussy," and he just says this plain, and you're like, "What's the joke, man?" He keeps saying stuff like that. He's like, "I don't like it when they change these words, though. I think it makes it sound even grosser and weirder and everything when they do that. It's like, I want to stick my wee wee in your hoo hoo." The only thing I remember from that video is that he had to put out a disclaimer that he wasn't for casual sex or something like that. I think that's what at the very beginning of that video, he had to say, I'm not all about that.
I thought,
and he's famously it never has been, about casual sex.
Right.
I thought he walked on stage and tore a picture of Sinead O'Connor and
yeah, that's totally something George Michael did.
That would be very metal. And that was Nothing Compares to You, was the song she was doing, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
It was a great Prince song. Hearing him sing that, man, whoo, that's good stuff.
Yeah,
make your arms tingly.
Mm-hmm.
You know who really sings that song? The guy from the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones.
That's right.
I was thinking the guy from
Nothing compares to you.
I was thinking the guy from Crash Test Dummies.
There was this kid who.
There's another thing that was a hot minute for
Oh yeah,
popularity.
for sure.
Like,
He looked like such a goddamn goofball, man. When they would cut to him when he was doing that.
You know what? What's weird to me is every time it seems like every 3 or 4 years that is it the Proclaimers that did that "I Would Walk 500 Miles" song, and like it became popular, I believe, on Benny and June. Mm-hmm. So it became like a 90s staple, but the song came out in the 80s. Mm-hmm. and like,
yeah, it charted in like 88 in Scotland or in the UK.
Yeah. It blows my mind every time. Like it's such a 90s song.
Mm-hmm. When I wake up,
yeah,
I know I'm gonna be the man who wakes up next to you. That's a good song, man. I like it.
I tell you what, I got so much mileage out of doing Johnny Depp's Fork and the Biscuits dancing routine from Benny and June. Mm-hmm. I'm not even joking, man. That was one of my tricks.
Do you like that movie?
I did then. I haven't seen it since literally like whenever it came out on VHS the first time.
I caught it fairly recently again. I used to watch that movie all the time. And it's really, really good. It
came on cable the other day, and I saw a lot of it for the first time.
It's Mary
Stuart Masterson.
Mary Stuart Masterson. Doing a pretty good mentally ill performance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Paranoid.
Oh, yeah.
Eccentric. She gets the mask and everything and a ping pong paddle, and she's out there in traffic, like directing traffic and stuff like that.
It's 5 feet apart, 30 years ahead.
Yeah, but Depp plays such a good oddball before he became like an actual oddball. Like he plays like an actual, like kind of, I don't know, rest about type of guy that's obsessed with Charlie Chaplin. And that's the whole.
I was going to say, he's mostly just doing Charlie Chaplin bits.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was about to ask when you said Johnny Depp did the Fork and the Biscuits thing. I was like, is that any different from? I didn't realize he was, even though I'd seen a lot of Benny and June like 2 or 3 months ago, I didn't realize he was Charlie Chaplin obsessed. But I was like, is that Johnny Depp's bit now? It's like Charlie Chaplin did it first, but like it's like is it any different? But I think I saw that part when he did.
I'll just tell you, the girls in my college did not know Buster Keaton, Charlie Chaplin, any of that. So to them, it was the Benny and June bit, because the girls love that movie, dude.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then Jeremy Scott's doing it. Oh my goodness.
That's right.
It
wasn't a Johnny Depp thing anymore. It was a Jeremy Scott thing.
That's right.
Yeah. This was in between my other favorite bit, which was just never mind. I had this friend, Jana, and if she would ever like sit down with a piece of food, this is so wasteful and terrible, like a small stack of cookies or a chicken patty, like one of my favorite bits was to just suddenly smash the shit out of it like I was the Hulk. Just the extreme nature of the behavior always got really good reactions. And then I would go get her, duplicate of whatever I just destroyed. But in hindsight, man, what a wasteful dickhead move. It was really funny to me then.
The moral of the story is that we're all assholes when we're young.
I was, for sure. God. Like, I'll get you another one. Like, I didn't just, like, there's not starving people that wouldn't have enjoyed that unsmashed or even smashed chicken patty.
But you got a couple of chuckles out of it.
I did. Exactly. That's all I cared about at the time.
God. I guess it works. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I feel like I'm accepting an Oscar or something like that. I'm walking the wrong way. How do people still walk off the wrong fuck? You know what? I'll tell you why people walk off the wrong way. I'll tell you why. I figured out why the last one. Do you know why? Do you know why? Because the fucking people that are presenting the things. Okay, you're looking at me here. The people that gave him the trophy and the trophy girl that holds stuff and everything, they're over here. You're supposed to exit stage right, but they're over here. Why don't they stand over here, and then you're going to start walking towards the people, and you're on your way over there. Well, they're always over there, and then they walk over there, and then they're going over here. They should stand over there.
Well, it also is weird just in a general social sense, because just to turn away from the people who are behind you and start walking to the right. Yeah, fuck you guys, and then walk off. Then, you know, of course they're going to walk towards where people are, where the familiarity is, and everything. I think in general everybody knows where to go. It's just that the people, like you said, the people are over there, and they kind of like walk towards them. It's sort of a gravitation type of thing. So
it happens to like Meryl Streep will do it, man. Like it happens to multiple winners. They'll just have that natural reaction to, oh no, it's that way.
Well, I mean, fair. Meryl Streep, she's won so many times. She's gone left. She's gone right. You can't blame her for not.
She's gone backstage. She's gone right back to her
seat.
She's
like, which way is it this time? I don't know. She's just